Welcome to this Bridgewater Now update. I'm John Luck. Over the past few days, you may have noticed the roads around BSU starting to fill up as students have begun the move-in process in the 2021-22 school year. Families helped move everything in the different carts as the university looks for its first traditional opening of classes in 2 years. I had a chance to talk to BSU President Fred Clark about the upcoming school year, and we'll have that later on this week. But today we show you our conversation on the unique graduation ceremony that took place in July and how the university could play a part in graduate celebrations when they couldn't actually come together. Here at Bridgewater State University, here with President Fred Clark. President Clark, thank you very much for taking a few minutes of your time. A very busy week for you as we are just hours as we're taping away from 10,000 students coming back to BSU.
Yep. Oh, it's very exciting. Thank you, John, for the interview and for being here.
And before we look ahead, I wanted to look back to the month of July 29th, 30th, and 31st. The university was at Gillette Stadium celebrating the academic achievements of the class of 2020, 2021, and the graduate studies. And this actually goes back to a promise you made, I believe, in 2020 when the commencement was postponed, saying that the graduates were going to be recognized, going to have their moment on stage. How important is it to you, not just as an alumni, but the president of a major Massachusetts university, to keep that promise true and to have it take place at Gillette Stadium?
I think it's very important for our students to walk across that stage. It's a symbol of their achievement, and it's important not just for themselves, but for their family and for their communities as well. I remember the class of 1968. I know I'm going back. On their 50th anniversary, the class of 1968 were here at Bridgewater. They were robbed. They didn't have a commencement because Bobby Kennedy was killed the day before commencement. They canceled it. They never had the chance to walk across the stage. 50 years later, we gave them that chance right in Horace Mann Hall here. And as those students walked across the stage, they cried their eyes out. 50 years later. And the reason that they did is because it is important to walk across that stage symbolically. And I vowed then that I would never, ever cancel a commencement ceremony. So it was really the class of 68 that was my inspiration. And I can tell you from the emotion, from the excitement of the 30,000 people that came to cheer on safely our students crossing that stage, I am so glad that we were able to provide that opportunity for our students at Gillette Stadium. Plus, it was a lot of fun.
It was awesome. You had fireworks, Matt Light, Kevin from The Office. Didn't bring any chili, unfortunately. During the pandemic, I would walk around Bridgewater State University, and there were times right when the pandemic really ramped up in 2020, when the commencement was supposed to happen, I would see students on the steps, and I believe I would see you as well, taking pictures with the students, socially distanced and everything with the proper protocols. Why is it so important to play such a role like that in a time where something as simple as taking a picture, why is it so important to do that as a member of the alumni here?
Well, that class of 2020, when we postponed their commencement and we postponed it to a date uncertain because we weren't sure when we'd be able to do it, my heart broke for them. And hundreds of them came to Boyden Hall and those steps to take pictures in front of the banners. And if I heard them down below, I would put my regalia on, my cap and gown, and go down and take a picture because it's the least I can do. It was just an opportunity to celebrate them, in this case in a small way, knowing that they'd still be going across that stage. And a lot of their families came too, so I have to say, at least for me, it was good medicine for me to be able to show a very small act of kindness for our students and to celebrate with them before the bigger celebration. So I did that hundreds of times for the class of 2020 and probably another 100 times for the class of 2021.
If I could just add on to that, even before this interview, I saw you talking to a number of the students before we came on, and it's just such a friendly feeling here, and it's been that way for a long time, especially since you came on as president of the university. Being out among the students, how important is that, and why does it play such a key role in maybe the student atmosphere here at BSU?
Well, my office is right up there, and if I sat in my office all day long, I wouldn't learn a thing about what we could do to make this campus a better experience for our students. I talk to our students because, first of all, I work for them. I have 10,000 bosses, and I learn from them when I talk to them about what we can do better to provide a better service for them, a better learning environment, additional opportunities for them to take advantage of. So every time I talk to a student, I become a better president and better able to serve them which is why I try as much as I can to be out amongst them. And I love it. It's good medicine for me.
And again, we'll have part 2 of my conversation with BSU President Fred Clark later on this week as we talk about the safety measures on campus and how it feels to have things back to normal, plus a message to the university and the community at large. Turning our attention now to an underlying storyline that we'll certainly be watching during the upcoming school year, and that is the pandemic, as numbers locally continue to increase, as do the number of tests. And this data comes from the state's Department of Public Health, and it shows that in a 3-week span, 2-week case counts have risen from 25 to 73 here in Bridgewater, and the positivity percentage has also risen by about 1.5% over the last 3 weeks of data. Now, while those numbers rise, the number of tests in a 2-week span have also risen. Between the August 5th and August 26th reports, there was a rise of 700 plus tests, with 1,915 tests on August 26th. According to the last vaccination report, Bridgewater has 59% of residents who have received 1 dose of the COVID vaccine, while 54% of residents are fully vaccinated. Of course, many universities and colleges in the Bay State and really across the country have required students to take a COVID test to get onto campus. And I reached out to the state's Department of Public Health to ask them if I was a student in Boston getting a COVID test, if that would count in the COVID data for Boston or Bridgewater. This is the answer I got, and it says the test result is counted based on where the individual resides. The national standard is that people should be counted based on where they spend the majority of the year. And in the instance that a student lives on campus, they should technically be counted there because they spend 9 months of the year there. However, in practice, people are counted based on the address they provide when they get tested, which might be the college or university address, or it might be their home address. And we will, of course, keep you updated on the COVID situation here locally. Right now, we want to turn to weather, though, with Jeff Fowler. And Jeff, we have a lot of rain and wind and severe thunderstorm potential coming. Is this kind of mirroring what we saw last Monday night with Henri starting to move out with those flooding potentials and the severe thunderstorm threat?
Well, that's right, John. We have the remnants of what once was a Category 4 hurricane. Ida, of course, we've seen all the headlines moving through the Gulf states. Louisiana hit particularly hard here over the last few days. Ida is now moving north, and as that happens, the storm is starting to transition to more of an extratropical storm. Basically, that's just a fancy way of saying it's becoming more like a nor'easter, more like a typical storm that we see here in New England. And that's important because, as you mentioned with Henri last week, Henri was essentially more of a tropical system, much smaller in aerial coverage. So the storm track was very important, exactly where that center went, to determine if we saw any effects from that. This storm is a much larger system, and again, it was much stronger when it first crossed the eastern part of the country. It's 69 degrees outside the BTV studios as of right now. This is Wednesday afternoon during this taping. We've had some light rain off and on moving through. The shield of that rain now covering most of Connecticut, Rhode Island, central and western Massachusetts. You'll notice just south of our south coast, south of Long Island, we do have some thunderstorms popping up. Those are in the warm sector of this system right now, and that's important because that sector is going to be moving north. As it does, we'll be in and out of some lulls here this evening, so at times it won't be raining at all. But within that warm sector, we will have some isolated to scattered severe thunderstorms. We could have a few of those thunderstorms spin up. We may have some rotation. We may have some isolated tornadoes. So the Storm Prediction Center is monitoring that, and the Weather Prediction Center has issued a rare high risk for excessive rainfall and a pretty good bet of flooding across southern New England. It's not very often that we get those warnings here for our area. So it is something to keep an eye on, but I can tell you the exact placement of that warm front overnight will be very important because along and just north of that front, we could see areas easily exceeding 6 inches of rainfall in a relatively short period of time. But everywhere else is closer to more of a 2 to 4, maybe 5-inch rainfall. Right now, it looks like that front is going to set up pretty close to the Bridgewater area, so it is something we are going to have to monitor as we go through the period overnight tonight. Again, if you are in an area that is prone to flooding, in Bridgewater there are neighborhoods that are, you know the drill. This is the time now to check the basement, make sure that sump pump is working. Good news is that unless we do get hit by a severe thunderstorm, and we probably will not lose any power tonight. Most of the winds that you saw down the south coast, those are gone. We don't have those 100-mile-per-hour winds anymore. Winds are generally steady between 20 and 30 miles per hour with the system right now. But again, it could gust overnight, so keep that in mind. any thunderstorms. We'll want to monitor that. Once the storm system moves through, tomorrow is going to be a much drier day. I think rain really wraps up. Any of the significant rainfall should be over by 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. That's it. And then the sunshine will come out tomorrow afternoon with a slight risk of a pop-up shower. That should be about it. You will notice breezy conditions, though, on Thursday afternoon, and tomorrow night I'm going to start to feel a little bit like fall around here as temperatures start to drop. Dew points will be dropping into the upper 40s, so certainly a significant difference here in temperatures. It's a fall-like feel to our Friday with high temperatures probably in the low 70s. We'll start to move towards the mid-70s on Saturday. Now Sunday we will warm up again as another front approaches. That could bring us a few showers here Sunday afternoon or first thing Sunday evening, but that should move through. Right now, Labor Day looks pretty good around here with some sunshine and high temperatures up near 80 degrees. So again, summarize here tonight, we do have the risk certainly for some aerial and flash flooding around the area overnight tonight, especially after we go to bed. So keep that in mind first thing in the morning. I think most of the rain will be over during your morning commute, but there will be plenty of standing rain, puddles around. So, allow yourself a few extra moments and we'll get through.
All right, thanks, Jeff. Perhaps a chance to save on some air conditioning, open up those windows, let the air in. And we want to wrap up with the BR football team holding a kickoff event down at Legion Field back on August 21st. New head coach Lou Pacheco was in the dunk tank, and you can see from the pictures that our own Nick Sylvia soaked the coach, and he also showed off his singing skills with his rendition of God Bless America on a day that gave players and their families a chance to come together for a fun day overall. And as we wrap up, I want to remind you that we have part 2 of my interview with Fred Clark coming up this Friday. We'll have that on the BTV social media sites, and we'll have the full interview coming up on Friday as well. Thank you for watching this Bridgewater Now update. I'm John Luck.